This week, Star Citizen Alpha 2.2 goes to the public test universe. Los Angeles Quality Assurance Lead Vincent Sinatra talks testing. And community manager Jared Huckabee returns to the wonderful world of Star Citizen to chat with Twitch streamer Deejay Knight. All this and more on this week's Around the Verse.
Oh, no, this is somebody new. No, that's the guy with him, presumably.
Yeah. That's the pilot. I mean, that was his gunner.
You think he actually went to 275 this time?
It's a possibility. No, it has.
Charging.
Yes, he did.
Holy, did you just blow him up?
Yes.
Oh, I just jumped through the explosion.
Dude, like, I'm glad I recorded that. Let me just put it that way. God, I hope I recorded that and that didn't fuck up somehow.
It takes some real luck to follow someone through quantum drive. I'm going to try that.
You might say that constellation got quantum leaped.
Oh, boy. Anyway, hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Around the Verse. I'm Sandy Gardner.
I'm Ben Lesnick. Sandy and I have been working on Star Citizen ever since the start of the project. She is the brains behind our marketing campaign.
And Ben makes some pretty cool spaceships and has a very long title.
For those of you new to the show, Around the Verse is your weekly update by the Star Citizen team, about the Star Citizen team and our incredible community. We show you how the game's being made, and we introduce you to some of the great people who have been supporting it.
But what can you play in Star Citizen today? Our current live release is Star Citizen Alpha 2.1, which includes the Arena Commander dogfighting, the ARP-Corp groundside module, and the nucleus of our persistent universe, Star Citizen Alpha 2.1.
And the team is hard at work on Alpha 2.2, which is going to introduce physicalized EVA, flyable Saber, hangar-ready Jean Scout, and the new reputation system, among other new features. That went live to PTU on Monday night, and our community bug seekers have been having a field day with it. Meanwhile, the team is fixing all the issues they find, and we're on course to go live in the very near future.
The Jean Scout actually looks pretty cool. I don't know, have you tried the Saber flying yet?
I haven't flown the Saber yet, but every single, I was following Reddit, and every single post was, look how cool the Jean Scout is, look how cool Jean Scout is.
It is pretty cool. The PTU is being rolled out using a new wave system aimed at getting the build to the backers who have done the most testing. So if you want to be the first for a future PTU, then get in there and test as much as you can when it becomes available.
The latest issue of Jump Point, our monthly subscriber magazine, is available in your subscriber areas. It follows the development of the Jean Scout from concept to hangar readiness, and it introduces you to the team behind our modular space stations, which you are already exploring in 2.1.
And the ship team have kicked off two long-awaited ships, the Drake Buccaneer and the RSI Polaris Corvette. Matt Sherman, who is heading up the Buccaneer design, has requested backers to help us collect reference artwork. So head over to the forums and let him know what you think the next pirate fighter should look like.
Buccaneer is going to be really cool. This is the ship a lot of people wanted with the Cutlass, a super maneuverable light pirate fighter. Everything I've seen so far is really cool, and we're gonna do a good ship here.
Thanks to the subscribers who came out on Wednesday to make this month's RTV bonus round a success. Star Citizen's writing team was really happy for the chance to talk lore with backers, and I think it was vice versa, and here's a clip.
We haven't talked about the Galactopedia in a while, and we've added several 100,000 Star Citizens since we have. Why don't you tell us what the Galactopedia is, for those who may not be familiar with it?
It's the in-game encyclopedia of everything Star Citizen. Think Wikipedia, but better maintained.
Oh, shots fired.
No, not shots fired. I love Wikipedia.
I could listen to those guys talk lore all day. But instead, let's listen to our studios from around the world who are hard at work on Star Citizen. Let's check in.
News from around the verse.
Around the verse.
Hi guys, this is Sunny Santa Monica. My name is Rennie Vasquez, associate producer, and today with me is
Jeremiah Lee, concept artist
extraordinaire. So this week in Santa Monica, we've been working a lot on handling some of the live stuff for me in particular, to try to get PTU pushed out as well as set playtest up and get all those bugs and all those crashes and stuff kind of like given out to my team. I know Paul and Kirk have been really focusing on just 2.2 stuff, trying to get everything ready for the patch as well as all the PTU pushes. And then the other part of the team, we've been working on new features as well as everybody's been kind of just pitching it for 2.2. I know that components and everything's going to be refactored, and Sherman and Calyx have been doing some things. Also, Calyx is also working on the Caterpillar recently, so I'm actually really excited about that. What do you got on your side?
On the art side, we have Grimlock working on the Caterpillar concept with Mark Skelton and also Elman, and they're trying to make sure everything fits together and runs perfectly in the game. And on the character side, I'm currently wrapping up the Heavy Marines.
Looks cool.
And we got the undersuit and the Medium Marine approved.
That's what
And
Omar's running.
Yeah,
right?
so Omar's working on. He's building the undersuit, the notorious suit that Chris has been talking about, which we're super excited.
Nice. Well, we can't wait to show you guys everything. If anything, we'll see you in the verse. Have a good day, guys.
Hey guys, Jake Ross here, associate producer of the Persistent Universe, and I'm here with you this week to go over a little bit about what's going on here in Austin. Last week I was in the UK, as some of you may have seen. I got to sync up with the guys out there and talk about production practices and workflow and things like that. A lot of kind of not really tangible things, but things that are important nonetheless. And so that was a very successful trip. And this week we are working on getting 2.2.0 out in your guys' hands. So we just released a PTU, and with that we released a public crash handler. So now you guys have access to the public crash handler whenever things go sour on your end, and you can let us know exactly what happened and when. It's the first iteration, so we are improving on that tool. To account for things that are more like, adding repro steps and things like that. But it's a pretty good first release, I think, and I hope you guys are able to get some good use out of it. We are also talking on this side about persistence, first release, and what exactly we are wanting to persist. We talked about shopping already and persisting what you buy in Kasaba Outlet and things like that, but we're also wanting to talk about persisting things like player health, item health, ship health. We have the new hostility system out there, so we want to be able to somehow persist the reputation that you gain through the hostility system. If you're trolling people, we don't want you to just be able to log off and log back in and just have a clean slate. We want the consequences to persist, and we want that to kind of help gameplay as well. People who are actually trying to track you down if you do bad things. So it's all things that we're kind of discussing on this end that we want to persist in the near future, but we don't know exactly when that near future is just yet. So we're kind of road mapping that stuff out. Last thing I'll mention is that a couple months back, Imra, our lighting artist here in Austin, updated the hangar lighting for the Southland and Revel in York hangar. We had to pull them off of the other two hangars to help out with Crusader and the things of that ilk. But he is back on to updating the hangar lighting for the AeroView hangar and the VFG Industrial hangar, I think it's called, the Asteroid hangar. So hopefully those other two hangars who have not been given as much attention and love will be up to the same quality as the other two. So but yeah, that's all I got for you this week, guys. Thanks. See you around.
Hi everyone, welcome to the UK, and this week I've got the pleasure of Nick Elms joining me, the creative director here at Foundry 42. So Nick's going to give us a quick rundown on kind of the coolest things that are going on here in the UK at the moment. So Nick, do you want to take it away?
Thanks Tom. Yeah, I'll give it a go. It's the first time doing this, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit. Just wanted to sort of, as Tom said, run down a couple of things that we're looking at as a priority over here at the moment. Sort of first being the new user experience. Really, we've got a lot of new users coming in, and we're very aware we've got a very steep learning curve into this game. So we're putting a bit of effort into sort of simplifying the control system, making it a bit more consistent across spaceflight, EVA, FPS. We're simplifying the hood as much as we can. So if you want to drill down into the more complicated things, you can do, but initially it'll be a bit more simple. Yeah, we've got someone on ship balancing full time now. So where we've just been duplicating stats for components and things like that, that's going to change. Things are going to start to get a lot more stable on that side, and we're building a bit more solid foundations to actually get the game balanced.
Much needed. There's a lot of ships.
There is, yeah. We've got the Hydrus in there, which is quite exciting for some of the guys that have been doing play tests.
In there, as in game.
Yeah. It's been flying around shooting people in turrets. It's quite good fun. I mean, it's still way off release, but we're starting to be able to play around with it, which is really encouraging. Certainly the bigger cap ships going in there and actually seeing what they can actually do is fantastic. We're working a bit more on player traversal, so hopefully you're going to be able to do more complex moves like bolting, mantling. Some of the prone stuff, current events, all that kind of thing, hopefully work a bit more smoothly. Moby-Glass is another thing. For Squadron 42, we need to sort of have a military skin on Moby-Glass, so we've been zeroing in on the apps that we need for that, and actually getting the sort of consistent layout for Moby-Glass, so everything works in it.
So the UI team are pretty busy.
The UI team absolutely are.
All right, I think that's just about wraps it up for this week. That's a lot to fit in, so hopefully you enjoyed that, guys, and we'll see you in the verse.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey everyone, Brian Chambers from the Frankfurt office. This week, I'm alone today. I will give a breakdown, try to remember what everyone's been covering since the last we spoke. AI, there's been a big push on AI. We just had meetings, a good amount of meetings with AI with a bunch of people, including Chris and Aaron and Tony from Austin. Recently, they've been working on AI assignments. Those allow design to have character AI doing some very specific things, like defending an area, patrolling in a specific way, and so on. So it allows them to define things, but gives variables in there so we have some differential between them. Worked on audio perception, allows AI to hear things from the player, any type of noise that's going on, and react differently to different types of noise. They're also pushing on bugs for Crusader and Arena Commander maps. Sorry. Level design, pushing on piping prototype. That's coming along pretty well. Still working on that, but it's getting down to some of those final stages. Also started building out a new landing zone. On system design, you can imagine as those closely tied with AI, they've been doing a lot of AI work themselves. Behavior and prototyping, implementation of different AI, designing AI archetypes. So, really seeing what archetypes are needed in a more defined way. We obviously have the high level ones, but now it's drilling in and saying, okay, what specific stuff do we need here, and what does the world need? Also, accuracy design for AI. System designers also working on looting prototype, designing player oxygen consumption, which should be interesting. They got some pretty interesting ideas there. Also designing quantum and interdiction. On weapon art, recently we were saying how they've gone through and kind of did a pass on all the metrics to define those and get the weapons all where they need to be. So basically indexed all the ship weapons, so now they're all properly listed and detailed out internally with the correct metrics, so that now would allow the team to be able to build off of those. We re-exported that process, re-exported all the ship weapons with their new size base on those metrics to make sure they're all aligned. And then that gives us a level base where we could then tune if needed from there. Started working on a new railgun. It's gone through the concept phase and so on. So now it's to the point where the guys can actually start working on it. Finished work on improved rail system for all weaponry to accommodate attachments better. Again, kind of building up these base foundations that allow us to, as we progress, to make things more efficient and do things easier. Also started working on updating grenades, use new material system and so on, and based on new budgets we've created, including the LODs and everything. On the engine side, they focused definitely a bit on bug fixes for the live releases. It's always important for us to dial those in so players have, more of an opportunity to have fun. It's definitely still alpha, but we want to dial in as tight as possible so we make sure that even what's out there is the best experience we can. We're always building on something that's solid. Continued working on the physicalized EVA controls and collision detection, and also pushing more on the procedural planning tech. On the procedural stuff, it's interesting because we're currently improving how the different layers from height maps blend into each other, so they form good, nice terrain, and also looking at the height maps and maybe having custom height maps for some of the procedural stuff and so on. On cinematics, we had a new guy start, Michelle. He's working with one of our other cinematic animators, Oscar, and they're jumping into one of the chapters and starting to sort out some of those scenes. The cinematic designers, the guys that put all the parts and pieces together, they're currently working on 2 other chapters in parallel. And the stuff that's interesting about that is they're working on some chapters right now that they're a lot featured mostly in cinematics in those locations. So the cinematic team now has the ability to go in and really kind of help create the mood and the feel and so on for those areas. So they're having fun with that. And we're also pushing on tools with one of the engine guys to get track view tools up to a point where we need to where Hannes and the guys can be more efficient. Also from there, VFX continuing to push on stuff and so on. So I think I've already run over my normal time. Next week I'll try to bring in one of the guys. Still trying to get one of the tech guys in here to talk to you, but they're always so damn busy. But yeah, thanks again, and see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Around the Verse will be visiting our European studios later this summer. Right after Gamescom, we'll be going to Frankfurt and also to the UK to do some filming and get all of those folks that you haven't seen on camera.
I am looking forward to our European adventure. Meanwhile, closer to home, Jared has an interview with CIG Los Angeles' new head of our QA team, Vincent Sinatra.
Thanks, guys. On this week's ATV interview, we're sitting down with Los Angeles QA lead, Mr. Vincent Sinatra. Vinny, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Can I call you Vinny?
You can call me Vinny.
All right, Vinny, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Now, you're the quality assurance lead here in the Los Angeles studio.
Correct.
What's that do? We've had a couple QA people on the show before, but just give us a top-level rundown. What's quality assurance?
Well, quality assurance, we're making sure that the game's fun and that it's working properly.
We use the fans for a lot of our testing. It's part of our crowdfunding. But before it gets to them, there's still a large amount of testing that has to go on internally before we even get the builds out there.
Correct.
You know, if a ship is showing up as a giant red blob or something, there's no reason to push that out to the fans.
Definitely, we don't want to hand them anything like that.
So you're our first line of defense with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. We're the ones who, we get dirty into the dirty code, and then hopefully it's clean by the time it passes through us and get to the fans. But obviously, they're going to run into certain things every now and again.
Now I know we have QA teams in 3 of our 4 studios, and we're building a fourth team in Frankfurt right now, actually.
Correct.
Do the teams focus on different things?
Yeah, somewhat. The UK, we got a great team out there. They do a lot of the Squadron 42 testing, but they also overlap and they take a lot of the persistent universe testing as well. ATX, we have an awesome team there as well, who primarily focuses on live deployments or PTU deployments, but also sweeping all areas of the code. We like to have our QA people become specialized in certain aspects of the code, so we know we have an authority on sort of each aspect. There's a ship guy, there's someone who's doing first-person shooter stuff, there's other people who are handling the editor tools, and that way both devs and other QA people know who to go to when they need to ask certain questions.
Gotcha. And one of your focuses is the ship stuff.
Most definitely. Here in LA, since we're primarily an embedded test team, kept small and focused, we focus on the ships and make sure we get those out on time.
Gotcha. And people may have seen you in the forums. You've been posting in the shipyard forums. Mayo
Fumato, yeah.
I'm sorry, what? Mayo
Fumato, it's a misspelled
Fumato.
Japanese word, so it doesn't really exist.
Right. But Mayo Fumato?
Mayo Fumato, that's my handle.
I got it. You didn't think I was going to get it, Hennessy. Mayo Fumato, that's you.
That's me.
When people see you on the forums. Primarily focused on ship stuff. Recently, you were gathering feedback on the 300 series, and was it the Aurora?
Aurora, the Constellation, the Gladius, the Gladiator. We had a whole bunch.
Yeah. Now that's not. That doesn't mean that we're doing a remodel or a remake right away. That's just part of the process.
It's part of the process. A lot of it was part of my own edification, just to kind of get the history of these ships, because I know they've been around a long time, and I kind of wanted to see how they changed. And, get the public's feedback on it, and that way I could jump to the code myself and say, hey, you know what? They're really right about this. I should probably turn this into a bug or something like that.
Gotcha. Now, a lot of the work lately must be 2.2 focused.
Yeah, we're all over 2.2 right now.
Now, we are filming this on Monday, so there's no telling whether 2.2 will be out by the time this is viewed. But take us through some of the steps. Take us through some of the things that you guys would be testing in the lead up to a release.
Well, primarily stability.
Okay.
That's one of the things we're really focused on when it comes to the PTU and the live. Because if we're getting broken code and people are crashing all the time or the servers are coming down, we're not going to be able to get any decent data from the PTU. The players are just going to say, hey, it crashed. And we really want, things like, performance, trying to go from 16 to 24 players or something like that. So stability is definitely number one. But then again, there's also those new features we're rolling out. We want to make sure that those are at least in a testable state for the public before they get their hands on it. So, we definitely have a lot of things to look for, but we hit it.
All right. So take me through that. We've got a new ship that's becoming flyable with 2.2, the Saber.
Correct.
What kind of steps do you have to take when a ship is becoming flyable for the first time?
Well, when it's just in the hangar, it's really easy. You just go and you sit in all the chairs and you get out. And you're like, okay, it looks fine. It's good for the hangar. But once you're actually able to fly the ship, there's just a whole big battery of tests we have to do. Between checking the SCM speed, checking the slide times, making sure the countermeasures are firing, making sure the coolers are cooling down all the weapons, make sure the weapons can get swapped out in the holo table, testing it in dogfights against other ships, to make sure it kind of fits its role that it's supposed to be in. If the Saber all of a sudden is getting schooled by the lowliest Aurora, something's wrong there and we need to work on.
Time to kill and stuff.
Exactly, time to kill for the ships and the armor and all that.
Gotcha. Now you mentioned the coolers. One of the new features in 2.2 is we're adding coolers and power plants as usable functioning items now.
Yes.
So take me through a little bit of that. What does a cooler do and what does a power plant do?
Well, power plant's generating power for your ship, and it's getting it to all your different systems. So if something goes wrong with the power plant, systems aren't going to get power, weapons aren't going to fire, shields aren't going to work. Coolers are going to be cooling down everything that could possibly overheat. So when your weapons overheat, you see the little gauge starts filling up, goes into overheat mode. Cooler is what makes it go back down.
Gotcha. And you'll be able to upgrade your cooler or your power plant to either supply more power to these things or to allow you more time before they overheat.
Correct.
Okay. In addition to the Saber and the new items, we've got the Xi'an Scout that's going into the hangar. You already talked a little bit about that. The test, make sure you can get in, make sure you can get out.
Pretty much. Make sure it stays flat on the plane and doesn't jiggle around or start moving around or end up below the ground plane or anything like that.
I remember many early days you'd log in and the buggy would be bouncing around.
Yeah, the first time the Scout was in there, it was actually, you kind of looked like a land shark because just one fin was above the ground and it was kind of dancing around there and it was kind of hard to find, but we got that straightened out.
Nice. Another new feature in 2.2, the hostility system.
Yes.
Now, what can you tell us about the hostility system?
Well, if anybody's played any sort of games like, GTA and stuff like that, you got the usual where you get stars, or, we have a similar system, not exactly the same, but, similar to where if you carry out hostile actions within a safe monitored zone, you have a little icon tell you that you're in a monitored zone. And if you carry out any hostile actions there, what will happen is you get a hostility level, 1 through 5.
Okay.
The more you get, eventually you'll get a bounty put on you. And then that's when everybody on the server pretty much gets a mission to hunt you down and kill you because of what you've been doing and how much trouble you've been causing around Port Olisar.
Interesting.
And you have a way to lower your hostility level by going to Security Post Correa. And so we kind of focus, the troublemakers got to go into the PvP area.
Yeah, I really like how we put the terminals to lower your hostility into the FPS area.
Yeah, because then you can, the people will be waiting there to hunt them down.
Gotcha. And we don't want to give any specifics here, but there might be a reward or two if you
definitely
if you capture some bounties.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so something to look out for, guys. So hostility system, sabers flyable, Xi'an scouts going into the hangar. We've got coolers and power plants. It seems like a pretty big patch.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back and talk about you a little bit more. Where'd you come from to Star Citizen?
Well, I have a long experience in the industry in QA. I was at Activision for about a decade, working on various titles.
Yes.
Yeah, no, the Great Satan. Working on a bunch of movie titles, Call of Duty, and that sort of stuff. And then I, went and did a little bit of freelance QA. I was working on much smaller things, little handheld teaching apps. So I've worked for the biggest of the big and the smallest of the small, and now I'm really happy to be here at Star Citizen because I finally get to work on a genre that I know and love, and it's true to my heart. Space combat.
Space combat. What other space combat games have you played?
Oh, I've played as many as I could get my hands on. I'm an old school X-Wing, XVT fan. Of course, the Wing Commander series. I geeked out hard the first time I met Chris Roberts because I played all those games as well. So pretty much anyone I can get my hands on whenever I can, be a stick jock. I'm all about it.
Cool. How long have you been here now?
Only about 4 months.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Seems like you've been here longer.
Well, I have that kind of face.
You have that kind of effect on people. It makes time seem like it slows down.
It drags down,
right.
Yeah.
Vinny, I think that's all we got today. Thanks for coming by.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Taking the time to chat with us.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Vinnie Sinatra, Los Angeles QA lead. Back to you guys. Say back to you guys.
Back to you guys.
The ARC is proud to introduce Star Map version 1.0. Once you've loaded the star map, you will arrive at the Galaxy View, which shows all known systems in the Star Citizen universe. You are now in System View. You can right-click on any celestial object in that system. The star map will let you keep up with its pace directly from the site.
No! No! I was right there. I'm gonna get you, Ghost. Come here. Come here. What? You weren't supposed to actually come here. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? You were not supposed to, wait up for me right now. This is against the rules. This is against... This is not parlay. You're not supposed to wait and be kind and gentle. It's alright though, I got some. Get it! Get it! The shield's coming down!
Welcome everybody to the wonderful world of Star Citizen. I'm your host, Community Manager Jared Huckabee. And if you've never seen the wonderful world before, this is where we take a look at the YouTubers, the Twitch streamers, the podcasters, the fan art makers, the ship creators, basically anybody that creates original Star Citizen content for the Star Citizen universe. Now on this week's show, we're having a chat with Star Citizen Twitch live streamer, Mr. Deejay Knight. DJ, how you doing, man?
I'm fantastic, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming on.
Happy to be here.
All right. Now, DJ, you stream live on Twitch. Why don't you tell us how you got started?
Well, I started about 10 months ago. A friend of mine had been bugging me for months, like, you need to be streaming. So I started and did not know how much I enjoyed it until I did. And I've been at it ever since. Started a schedule in March. I won a contest to go to TwitchCon in August. And I found Star Citizen in mid-December of last year. And after getting into it, I'm having so much of a blast. It's crazy pants.
All right. So you've been streaming Star Citizen since December. We have quite a few Star Citizen Twitch streamers out there. What can folks expect to see when they tune into your channel?
I'm a big fan of information. So anytime anybody comes into my stream and asks a question about any of the base information you can find about Star Citizen or anything more than that, I'll try to give it. I do tend to go into the important parts of Star Citizen. For instance, the fact that it's a crowdfunded project, the fact that it's currently in alpha, and that there's really two games going on behind the scenes. There's Star Citizen and Squadron 42. So I spend a decent amount of time talking about that and kind of getting amped up about the ship to planet landings.
Yes. We were all pretty amped up when we saw that one. Now, you said you take a lot of time to help explain things. Quite a lot of our newer backers are discovering Star Citizen through our YouTubers and Twitch live streamers. So we certainly appreciate you taking the time to help with what can be a pretty dense project.
It is pretty dense, but that's the joy of it, is that it's pushing the boundaries. And a lot of people don't understand that until they start to hear the things that are coming and the things that are already available that they may not have known about. So I'm stoked to be a part of it.
Well, we appreciate it. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself as a person.
Oh.
Yeah, on the spot, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
Who is Deejay Knight?
I started a gaming website back in 2006 called GamingTruth.com. I've ran that site for over a decade. In addition to that, I've worked in the gaming industry. I've worked in electronic arts. I've worked on a couple smaller indie titles, and I do have a fair knowledge of game design itself. I actually teach in a game design degree, so I'm fairly well versed in how gaming development works. So that I think it gives me a little bit of a unique perspective on informing people about how amazing the status of Star Citizen is right now, especially being in alpha.
It definitely shows when folks look at your stream. You brought up Star Citizen Alpha. What's your favorite thing to do in the alpha right now?
Covalex Shipping Hub. I'm a big fan of that hub, mostly because the mission itself is so well done. The voice acting, the atmosphere, it just feels creepy while you're going through it, and it's a fantastic example of how you would think that like atmosphere doesn't play a big part, but it's huge, and that mission shows it off very well. In addition to having a Big Benny's vending machine that caused a whole lot of ruckus recently.
Yes, folks have been taking that vending machine to all kinds of exciting places throughout Crusader.
Yeah, the Big Benny's Summit Challenge is essentially taking the Big Benny's vending machine from Covalex Shipping Hub into your ship and all the way back to the room you spawn in Port Olisar, which can be a fairly lengthy journey.
Yeah, I've logged in once or twice and seen folks doing personal barrel rolls on the floor, trying to get the machine up over the last step into their starting location.
It can definitely take a bit, but it's a blast to get it done.
All right. Now, besides Covalex Shipping Hub, I noticed you play a lot of Arena Commander. What's your favorite ship to fly in Arena Commander?
Easily, hands down right now, my favorite ship is the Aegis Avenger Stalker. I'm a big fan of Aegis as an Air Force veteran. For me, it's a huge, huge deal to find more fighter-like ships, and all of their ships kind of have that design language. But the thing about the Avenger Stalker that gets me is the fact that it has the bounty bays in the back, which leads heavily toward what I want to do when the game starts and be a bounty hunter.
All right. Well, there goes my next question. What do you want to do in the PU? So, thanks. Wrapping up, is there any special message you want to give to the Star Citizen community?
Well, the biggest thing I can tell the Star Citizen community is thank you. I just started streaming in December, and even with the issues that I was having with my computer, with just keeping things running smoothly in the beginning was different. But the entire time since then to now, the fans, the community, the streamers, like everybody has shown me nothing but welcome and support. And I immensely appreciate that, which is why I'm extremely happy to be a part of the Star Citizen community. And I look forward to seeing everything that's coming up soon.
Well, we're glad to have you a part of the Star Citizen community. And thanks for taking the time to live stream Star Citizen and to help those along who discover the game through your Twitch channel. Now, that wraps up this episode of The Wonderful World of Star Citizen. We hope you enjoyed it. In upcoming episodes, as it were, we're going to be focusing on other YouTubers, Twitch streamers, fan art creators. So post your suggestions in the community hub. Upvote the guys you like, and we'll be contacting those people we want to feature here on The Wonderful World of Star Citizen. DJ, thanks for taking, oh, you're over here. DJ, thanks for taking the time to talk with us on the show. And Ben and Sandy, back to you guys. Say back to you guys.
Back to you guys.
We have some pretty awesome streamers.
We do. Nothing sells Star Citizen better than Star Citizen. So the folks out there who are showing off the game and exploring it and having adventures in the alpha and introducing it to all new people via Twitch and YouTube, it's really incredible, and we appreciate all their dedication.
I think I've caught on to watching other people play video games. I never got it before. I'm like, why would you watch other people play? But it's actually kind of cool.
It's kind of relaxing. I remember growing up, my parents didn't let me have video game consoles, so I'd have to go and watch my friends play. So I guess I'm kind of used to it.
All right, I guess I missed that part. But however, this week's MVP, who does that go to?
Why, here's the envelope.
This week's MVP goes to Josh Kabosh. Josh went and collected videos from a number of our Star Citizen YouTubers like Board Gamer, STL Youngblood, Demo Man 0351, Today's Married Gamer, and Aliciana to create what he calls the complete Star Citizen tutorial. Congratulations, Josh Kabosh.
Demo Man 0351. That is my favorite number of Demo Man. But our folks out there who are creating tutorials are equally as important as our streamers. One of the elements of our development is that we have to, conserve our resources and continuing moving forward with new mechanics, new features, and so on. That means we don't always have time to go back and teach people how to play each iteration of the game. So we truly, truly appreciate the amount of effort and skill that our community puts into sharing that information with others.
And for this week's art sneak peek, what is it?
Here it is.
Yay!
That was it.
That was it. It was Ben's hands.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk about that tomorrow.
Yes, we are on Reverse the Verse, our weekly informal live stream with the community team and anyone else here in LA who wants to join. It's 11 a.m. on Twitch, 11 a.m. Pacific on Twitch, and we essentially just have a good time. We try to answer your Star Citizen questions, share with you kind of the spirit of the team, and of course we'll be talking about that sneak peek.
Thanks, as always, to all of our subscribers for making this show possible. We will see you next week on Around the Verse. Is that okay?
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Around the Verse. No. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Around the Verse will be visiting our European studios later this summer. Right after Gamescom, we'll be going to Frankfurt and also to the UK to do some filming and get all of those folks that you haven't seen on camera.
I'm looking forward to exploring Europe with you. Sounded weird. No. Sounded weird. No. Sounded weird. It sounded weird. It sounded weird.
It's only weird if you make it weird.
Nope. Nope.
It's weird.
Nope.
So we'll use that take.
I'm looking for it. Oh my God!
Oh, are you all right?
Oh my God, are you okay? Oh my.
My acting has finally killed someone.
Oh my God, are you all right? What happened?
His ego is bruised more than his
Wait.
Only the camera could record it in there.
Wow. Okay, so you can do. Do you want to go closer to home? Jared just fell off his chair.
Oh, let's see.
Join our social channels if you are just new to Star Citizen and you would like to keep updated. Besides the comlink and the forums, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we are on Twitter. Join this YouTube channel, and that's also for Squadron 42 as well as Star Citizen.
Yep, all these things. Just more ways to keep up with the team.